On July 22, 1933. In 1933, a man flew alone around the globe. But why? What drove him to risk everything on a single-engine plane in an era when aviation was still a frontier? And how did he change the world forever? The 1930s were a time of daring in the skies, but also of limits. Planes were fragile, fuel was scarce, and the world had no idea what lay beyond its edges. Engineers were still learning how to make machines fly, let alone survive a globe-hopping journey. The Great Depression had left millions hungry, but it also birthed a hunger for escape. People dreamed of breaking free from poverty, from borders, from the weight of the world. And one man would soon prove that the sky was no barrier. Airlines were just beginning. Planes could barely cross oceans. Navigation was a guess, stars, clouds, and dead reckoning. And yet, someone would soon attempt the impossible, a solo flight around the world. Wileypost was a pilot with a reputation, and a reputation for recklessness. He'd survived a crash that left him with a broken leg, but also a new obsession, flying faster, higher, farther. This was no mere ambition. It was a challenge to the world itself. Post's plane, the WILEY, was a modified Lockheed Vega. It had a single engine, no radio, and a cockpit that felt more like a cockpit than a machine. But he had maps, a compass, and a stubborn belief that the world could be conquered, 1 mile at a time. Newsreels buzzed with speculation. Was this madness, a publicity stunt, or the first step in a new era of human flight? The world watched and waited for the first man to break the globe's boundaries. On July 11, 1933, Wileypost lifted off from Floyd Bennett Field. His destination? The North Pole. Then a journey across the Pacific, and finally, home. The WILEY's engine roared, and with it, the beginning of a flight that would test man and machine. Over the Arctic, Post battled freezing temperatures and mechanical failures. Ice formed on the wings, and the plane's instruments flickered. But he pressed on. Every mile was a gamble, every decision a leap into the void. The Pacific was a vast, empty expanse. Post had no landmarks, only the stars and his compass. For days he flew, sleeping in short bursts, rationing food, and relying on sheer will to stay alive. The world below seemed tiny, and the sky, endless. After 7 days, 18 hours, and 4 minutes, Post touched down at Floyd Bennett Field. He had flown 15,500 miles, alone, without radio, and with only a single engine. The world had a new hero, and a new understanding of what was possible. Reporters swarmed Post, asking how he'd done it. He shrugged, saying, "I just flew." But his flight had proven something, that the sky was not a barrier, it was a path, and that humanity could conquer even the most daunting challenges. Post was hailed as a pioneer, but he knew the journey was just the beginning. His flight opened the door for future aviators, for exploration, and for a world that could finally see beyond its own borders. And on July 22, 1933, history had been rewritten, one flight at a time. Today, Wileypost's flight is remembered as a turning point in aviation history. It proved that solo circumnavigation was possible, and that the future of flight lay in daring, not limits. His WILEY is now a relic, but its spirit lives on in every pilot who dares to dream. From Amelia Earhart to modern astronauts, Post's flight inspired a generation to push boundaries. His journey showed that the sky was not a ceiling, it was a canvas, and that the human spirit could overcome even the most daunting challenges. Aviation has advanced, but the essence of Post's flight remains, the courage to go where no one has gone before. Today's planes are faster, safer, and more advanced, but the spirit of Wileypost lives on in every pilot who dares to fly beyond the known. Statues of Wileypost stand in airports and museums, a tribute to a man who changed the world. His flight was more than a record. It was a statement. that the sky belongs not to empires, but to those who dare to fly. Documentaries and films continue to tell the story of Wiley Post, not just as a pilot, but as a symbol of human potential. His flight remains a testament to what can be achieved when courage meets vision. And it reminds us that the sky is not a boundary, it's a beginning. Today, the world is more connected than ever, but Wiley Post's legacy endures. His flight showed that the sky is not a limit, but a path. And as long as there are dreamers, there will be those who fly, for the world and for the future. What other unsung feats of human daring await your discovery? Subscribe for more stories that defy gravity.